So in this video, we're going to be looking at the loops. And in Python, we have two types of loops. We'll have the for loop and we'll have the while loop. So looping essentially is repetition. When you want to repeat a certain line of code over and over again, you use the concept or the principles of loops. So we're going to be starting with the for loops. And interestingly, for loops happens to be one of the most versatile or the most widely used looping constructs in Python. This is how to use the for loop. The first thing you do is to provide the for keyword followed by a variable. So we can say num, and then we use the in keyword and then we provide a sequence. Let's say we want to loop through a list of numbers. So I can have a list of numbers, maybe 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And then you provide a colon. Under it, you can now provide the codes or the lines of codes that you want to loop. So I can have something like print, and then I will say num. So essentially what this program does is that it's going to loop through the numbers in this list. So this is what the program does. It's going to loop through the numbers in this list. So as it is looping the numbers, it's going to be assigning it to this variable num. So during the first loop, it's going to assign num to 1. In the second loop, it's going to assign it to 2. In the third loop, it's going to assign it to 3, 4, and then in the last loop, it's going to assign it to 5. So if I run this code, it's going to give me 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So now I'm going to remove this statement and replace it with print. Maybe I'll say hello. If I run this code, it's going to print for me hello 5 times. So now we're going to be looking at a very popular function that is widely used with the for loop. And this function is known as the range function. Look at how it works. The range function allows us to generate a range of numbers. So let's look at this example. I'll say for, let's say num in range. And then I provide 5. So I say print num. If I run this code, it's going to show me 0 to 4. So when you use the range function and you provide a number inside the parentheses, what you're telling Python is to generate a list of numbers starting from 0 all the way to that number, but not including the number. So if you look at the outcome, you can see that it started from 0 and ended at 4. If I change this to 6 and run this code again, it's going to generate for me from 0 to 5, but not including 6. So but what if I want to generate a list of numbers starting from 1? I can do that by indicating the start position. And to do that, I'm going to provide 1 here and then put a comma. So what this does is that it's going to generate a list of numbers for me starting from 1 all the way to 6, but not including 6. So if I clear this terminal and run this code, I'm going to have 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So what if I want to start from 3? I can change the start value here to 3. So that if I run this code, it's going to give me 3, 4, 5. Then another important concept about the range function is that you can actually perform an increment. Instead of having your numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, you can actually skip some numbers. Maybe you want to generate a list of even numbers. So for us to do that, we're going to put the third argument, which represents the step. So let's say I want to generate a list of even numbers from 1 to 10. So I can start by indicating the start position to be 2, and I want it to stop at 10. So because I want it to stop at 10, I have to make this to be 11, and then I will now put the step, which is 2, so that if I run this code, it's going to give me 2, 4, 6, 8, and 10. So if I want to skip more than one number, I can change this to 3. If I change it to 3 and then run this code, it's going to give me 2, 5, 8. So instead of skipping one number, it's skipping two numbers. So that is how the range function works. So if you are to use the for loop, you have the choice of either using a list or you can use the built-in range function. So it depends on you. You know what you want to achieve. Any of them can serve. So apart from looping through numbers, you can actually use the for loop to loop through any collections. Let's say I want to loop through a list of strings. Let's say I have colors, and then I have something like orange, then I have red, I have blue, then I have green. So with the for loop, I can actually loop through the items of this list. And for me to do that, I'll say maybe for color in colors. Then I can have something like print color. So I'll clear the terminal. So if I run this code, I'm going to have the colors: orange, red, blue, and green. So the for loop is a very powerful looping construct that allows you to loop through any type of collection, whether it is a list, a tuple, a dictionary. So in our next video, we're going to be looking at the while loop.